Well, g'day, curd nerds. G'day, curd nerds. Well, 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 g'day, curd nerds. Welcome back to Ask the Cheeseman. This is episode 248. Welcome, one and all. It's great to see so many people in the chat today. I'm very excited. For those who don't know, this is me. I'm Gavin Webber. I'm the Chief Curd Nerd and host of the show. Well, the only host. I will hopefully be answering your home cheese making questions. Now, I'm only on my first cup of coffee, so please excuse me for being a little bit scatty, I suppose. Anyway, what was it on? Right. Now, of course, every show we celebrate the financial members who support the show. And today is no exception. Big thanks to Barbara Chadwick, who's our newest patron today. Thank you, Barbara. And for YouTube members, Harry Mulligan, who is the first mature tier YouTube member, and they get special access to behind-the-scene photos and little snippets of video that other people would not normally see. So thanks, Harry, for your mature tier membership. Absolutely fantastic. And thanks to all financial members, past and present, for supporting the show. A little bit goes a long way and keeps the show going twice weekly, Wednesdays and Sundays, my time. Alrighty, now, videos that are in production, Alpine Blossom, I'm putting the flowers on that today, and then I'm going to seal it up for another week, and we'll see how that goes. The cheese looks pretty good at the moment. I'm working on gourmet mac and cheese, so that'll be good fun. I'm tossing up whether to add in some sodium citrate to make the cheese a little bit more gooier, but we'll see how that goes. And I'm currently working on another Gavin Reacts video, which a lot of people seem to enjoy. At 30 minutes past the hour, there will be the gallery, where I showcase photos of cheeses that people have sent in, of the curd nerd community. And that's always a hit. And, of course, the show wouldn't be complete without any lame jokes. Cheese jokes, of course. So, there we go. So, let's say g'day to a few people. First person on the chat today was Spice Packs. G'day, Robin. How are you? And we got Adam and Patty and Shauna. G'day, Shauna. Herb made it as well. Titus, Eagle, Cool Cat, CM. Hello, CM. First time I've seen you on the chat. Maybe not. I don't know. Brennan. G'day, Brennan. How are you? We've got Stan. G'day, Stan. I'll get to your question in a sec, mate. H7 Apollo. How are you? Katarina. Lovely to see you as well. Patricia. Hope your concert went well, mate. Who else we got? We got Gene. G'day, Gene. I'll get to your questions soon, mate. Miriam, how are you? All the way in Canada there. Fantastic. John, RTD, Jazz, Jim, Donna, Katarina. Oh, no, I did Katarina already. Michael and Jenny, how are you? Boris and Valerie. Love to see you all. So, what the show is all about is us answering questions. So the first question, can I get back to it? No, I can't, but I will answer it anyway. It was from Stan. Stan says, "Hi Gavin, I want to turn a Philadelphia cream cheese into gorgonzola." There's a bit of alchemy for you. If I mix a bit in, will it turn the inexpensive cheese into the overpriced cheese? Not a chance. Not a chance in hell. No. Two separate processes. Philadelphia cream cheese is processed cheese. It does have some cream cheese in it, but it has all sorts of emulsifiers and stuff like that as well. Just have a look on the back of the packet. You'll soon see. And by adding a bit of gorgonzola to it doesn't make it gorgonzola. The flavour profiles are totally different. So good thought, but no, it won't work. Okay. Next question is from where is it? Jean. Jean says, "Hey Gavin, making a Guido's hard cheese today, and seem to remember you saying you can add lipase for extra flavour, or did I dream that?" No, I didn't. You didn't dream that at all. I did say that. So now the recipe was for, I think it was 8 litres. So I would add probably about a 1/16 of a teaspoon, 1/16 to an 1/8 of calf lipase to that cheese. I wouldn't use kid lipase; it's just too strong. Calf lipase is probably better. It's a little bit milder. So add that at the start before the rennet, obviously, with the starter cultures. So, and Jean, you'll have a little bit more spicy cheese. So, alrighty. Next question is from Patricia. Says, you said you learned to make cheese in a class back in 2009. I did indeed. I wonder if you've since been in touch with those teachers. Do they still teach? Are they chuffed at your accomplishments? Good question, Patricia. No, I haven't been in touch with them. I did the first class in 2009, in March 2009. I think it was March. And then the next one was about 6 months later with the same ladies, Dorothy and Lorraine. And then they retired. So there was no more cheese making classes, unfortunately. They were quite old, I suppose. They were certainly a lot older than I was. But mind you, that was back in 2009. It's now 2022. No, I don't know where they are. I tried looking up their company, and it doesn't exist anymore. So I've kind of lost touch with them. So no, I haven't got back in touch with them, and I really don't know. I was probably one of those obscure guys sitting in the corner, getting excited over making cheese. I had no idea what I was getting myself into, I suppose. But yeah, great question. Thanks, mate. Alrighty. Michael says, "Good morning, Gavin. Jenny and I are watching from Hobart this morning. Nice. Lovely morning here. Visited Bruni Cheese Factory. Is that Bruni Island cheese? A small family concern. They make semi-hard cheeses called Tom and George." Oh, okay. So that's not the same one that Nick Haddo runs, Michael? Let me know. Boris. G'day, Boris. Did I say your name? I think I did. David. And here's another question. "Gavin, how long are cultures good for if left in my freezer? Most likely 2 years old now." Okay, so you would have... there would have been a best before date before, but as long as you haven't stored them in those little aluminium foil sachets and transferred them to something like this, a sterile container. Yes, it is used for samples, but this one's no longer sterile because I've opened it up about 1,000 times. But we ship these little containers with each of our packets of culture, even if they've got a Ziploc on the top of the culture bag. And for good reason too, because if moisture gets into those cultures, they're not viable, or they're not as viable as what they did. If they go clumpy, then and they're not free flowing anymore, they're more than likely already activated and would have died off. So you won't get the same effect when you normally add them to milk and it starts to acidify because of the lactobacteria. So what we say on our website is the starter cultures are good from anywhere between 2 and 5 years if stored in the freezer correctly. I have used starter cultures that have been at least 3 years past their best before date. I know that some people would probably frown on that, but they certainly work. And one way to test if your cultures are still okay is to get a little quarter of a cup of milk at about 30 degrees Celsius. So that's about what, 60 mils, three tablespoons roughly. And it's got to be warm. And then you test the pH of the milk, and then you add the starter culture, leave it for 30 minutes, test the pH again, and if the pH has dropped or raised in acidity, then yeah, you know they're viable and they're good to go. So that's one quick way to test them. RTD Jazz says, how long can I keep cultures in my freezer? Yeah, freezer is where they go, indeed. They are freeze-dried, so they will survive transport. I've sent them all over the world, and they've got there and they've worked, so that's no issue at all as far as transport goes. But yeah, definitely when you get them from whoever you bought them from, then pop them in the freezer. Definitely. But yeah, if you've just cut open the side of a sachet and then put that back in the freezer, then sure as eggs around, you are going to find that it goes clumpy and it won't work anymore. So you've got to make sure it's sealed. Alrighty. G'day to Anthony. Hello, how are you? And Herb says, I have a couple of cultures that are 3 years old. They are dry and in good shape. Thanks, Herb, for backing me up there. Anthony says, I'm making your Shropshire Blue, and you say to slice the chunks into 3-inch or 7.5 centimetre chunks, but your video you slice them into about a third of that. I chose to do the larger. We'll report back. Yeah, they'll have more. They'll have more moisture in them. I found that my cheese, Anthony, was way too dry, and that's why it fell apart and wouldn't knit together. So it's the reason that I said that they should be bigger, but I didn't do that, obviously. And you saw the disaster that I managed to recover from. So yeah, it's always a bit of an issue. Eagle says, hi Gav, we'd like to try Caerphilly next, but have neither the cultures in your recipe. We have Meso Type 2 and MM100. Have you ever heard of Floridanica being used? Thanks. Okay, let's bring up the conversion chart and see if I cannot find it for you. Let's have a look. This may take me a second. Cultures, rightio. Well, let me see if I can show this on the gallery page. It may... right, here we go. Hey, there we go. So, what did we say? What cultures did we say? Meso Type 2. I don't have that in my list. But MM100. Moderate acidifier with some gas, high diacetyl. Used for Brie, Camembert, Havarti, Halder, Edam, Feta, Blue, Sherv, and other buttery, open textured cheeses. Probably not the best for... oh, look, it'll work. Caerphilly's such a young cheese, it doesn't really mature too much at all, so I don't think there'd be too much of an issue. Now, this chart here, it's a PDF, and you can download it from Mary Carlin's website, Artisan Cheese Making at Home. There's some downloads. I simply downloaded it, and I use it as a handy reference when people ask me to convert. So this is pretty cool. Look, you can use MO30 if you've got it, or equivalent MA11 is another one. That works fine for Caerphilly, and I've also used MA4000 series. Where's that? I know it's here somewhere. I think it's in this other section. Here it is here. Farmhouse culture. So LL, LC, LD, and ST. So yeah, it makes more of a cheddary sort of flavour. That's what I normally use now, is MA4001. So hope that all helps. Like I said, you can get that for free. Not on my website. It's not mine. So I would go and find that on the Mary Carlin website. It's called Artisan Cheese Making at Home. So there you go. Hello, Joanna. Lovely to see you. RTD Jazz says, I'm planning on making the triple spicy cheese for my mother-in-law. Any tips for making it spicier? The triple pepper jack, I think you mean. Now, remember, the spicier you make it, the more crumbly it's going to be. So, it was hot. I don't know how hot your mother-in-law likes cheese, but it was really hot the way I made it. It was the chipotle rub on the outside, which is basically smoked chipotle chili peppers. I think they had a bit of salt in it, and it drew out too much moisture. But that was nice. And then I put the, what did I put in? I put chili peppers, chili powder. Oh, there was just chili everywhere. So, yeah, look, I think it was quite hot as it was, so it's no big deal. Sherry says, hello from Wisconsin. Been away a while due to hospitalizations. Glad to be back. Hope you're well, Sherry. Hope you're well. Patricia says, I noticed that NEC's, that's North England cheese making supply, featured cheese recipe for December is your old favourite, Caerphilly, except their version is mould ripened. Ever heard of this treatment of Caerphilly before? No, I haven't. It's normally a plain white cheese. Can I bring it up? Let's have a gecko, shall we? That's Australian for have a look. There's my page, obviously. New England cheese making recipes. Let's go to their recipe page. What are they doing? Caerphilly. Here we are. So what are the newest recipe? Caerphilly cheese making recipe. Okay, kind of looks like my Caerphilly. Oh, what have they got here? They got a edition of this Mycador, which is a yeast that does bloom on the surface, but they're using MA 4000 series like I do. Rennet, 3/8 of a teaspoon for 2 gallons. Yeah, that's about right. Very similar to my recipe, except they've added this optional mould yeast. Let's have a look. What are they? Will it go? Will it change pages? No, it's not even going. Oh, there it is. White mould used for Tom produces a white, fluffy appearance. I tend to that Caerphilly gets a white, fluffy appearance anyway. Remember that? I can't remember if you remember back to one of the Caerphillys that I made, and it was covered in white mould. I actually had to shave the cheese. Anybody remember that? That was quite funny. So I think that's kind of what they're getting at there, Patricia. But great question, good observation too. Well done. Okay. Joanna says use Carolina Reaper powder. Yeah, that'll work for the extra spicy cheese. Jennifer. Hello, Jennifer. Thanks for the photos too, by the way. Hi, Gavin. I'm getting into natural rind cheeses, just popping them in an aging box and letting them go. Some I wash with ale or bee linens in ale. Others I just let be. Couple of questions, of course. That's what we're here for. What's the balance between letting them do their own thing and giving them a rub down to control the mold? How often do you wash them? Okay. So natural rind cheeses tend to only be washed for the first couple of weeks until the rind starts to dry out. Then after that, you'll find the mold becomes powdery on the outside. It's not moist because the rind's not moist. And then typically you just brush it off. So I have a little baby, what's it called? A baby brush. It's not for brushing babies. It's a little nail brush thing. It's really soft. And I just rub that over the cheese and bingo boingo, all of the mould comes off. It's powdery. Don't get it up your nose, of course. But yeah, that works. So yeah, they're either brushed or wiped. You have a look at videos for hard Italian cheeses and stuff like that. You'll see every week they're brushed. They're not washed. They're brushed. Now, if you're making washed curd cheeses, like anything with bee linens in it, and you want it to get a funky thing, then yeah, wash it a couple of times a week or once a week at least, and that way the paste will begin to soften, and you should get a some nice flavour imparted from the ale, and definitely the proteolysis activity from the bee linens that starts to break down the proteins and makes the curds go, or the cheese, the internal part of the cheese, softer. So, and your next question is, do you ever notice them getting too wet from the washers? At what point do you stop? Right, I think I've answered that anyway. Okay, cool. Thanks, Jennifer. Hope that helps. Anthony says, when looking at cultures to substitute, are you simply looking for the same species? Yeah, I tend to do that, Anthony. Each manufacturer mixes their lactic bacteria in different ratios, obviously. The ratios are never going to be the same. However, yes, you can just substitute them. If you can find those types of lactic bacteria, you're going to get a close facsimile to whatever the original recipe was. So, there you go. H7 Apollo says, love the Christmas cap. Hopefully you can hear that. There you go. Somebody in Wednesday's stream said they figured out where they've seen me before. Santa's Grotto, 1980. So, yeah, I've only recently, last few years, been sporting the white beard. It's all gone white now. Used to be ginger, would you believe? But yeah, a little bit like Santa. Anyway, we'll move on, shall we? Valerie says, I can only get about 1.5 gallons of fresh Jersey milk at a time, not quite enough for a full batch. Is it better to scale the recipe down or pasteurise that milk and add it to the next milking? So Valerie, if it's fresh raw milk, then you can keep it in the fridge for a couple of days, three days tops, before any real lactic acid development will start to happen, especially when it's lowered down to 4 degrees Celsius. So over the period of 2 to 3 days, you could add your milk together and get enough. So you should be good. However, anything longer than that, and definitely home pasteurise, and then add it to the next milk. So yeah, you're fairly well on the money, really, for that. Jeff says, Merry Christmas, Gavin, Kim. Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it, mate. Jim says, I got a lot of colours on kefili. Could they be using that to overpower the other moulds? Could they? They could be, yeah. Kefili is it's a very moist cheese, because, it doesn't get pressed a heck of a lot. But certainly, Jim, they could be using the Mitacor to stop other molds from growing on the surface. By introducing a mold, it could certainly do that. But for 3 weeks, it's never a hassle. Look, honestly, every time I make kefili, it's never a real big hassle to keep the mold off it. Just a little bit of, simple brine solution, or use the variation, the smoky paprika version, Jim. And I certainly didn't have half as many problems with mold as I did with it just being naked, of course. But great question. Thanks, mate. In the UK, we often have have a butcher's to mean having a look, which comes from Cockney rhyming slang butcher's hook. Indeed, not anything to do with have a gecko. Alrighty. Sherry says to RTD Jazz, I'm assuming the amount of heat depends on how much you like your milk. Mother-in-law. Right, mother-in-law. Right, I'm clown. Yeah. George says, could anybody make cheese out of cream onion dips? Just at me, thanks. Probably not. George, I don't think so. Creamy onion, it's already been processed. You can't do anything with it. Sorry, mate. Santa cheese, indeed. And Anthony says it's actually Gavin's brain rattling around. That's the little bells. Now, somebody asked me the other day, and Herb, thanks for prompting me, what cheese can I make for Christmas? Now, if you've left it this late, it's like, what, the 11th today for me? So there's only a few days to go to Christmas. So what's that? 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 14, 15 days till Christmas, right? So there is a cheese that you can make, and it is delicious. So let me show you the cheese. Hang on. And I made it, I think I made it last year. So I wasn't going to make another Christmas cheese this year. So let's go to the channel and go to the little searchy bar. Christmas cheeses. So here we go. So Christmas fruitcake cheese is one I just whipped up. Let's not we there. Oh, look at that! It's the hat, and it's even on the bells on the same side. How cool's that? Look how festive that is. Oh, Kim directed. Oh, that's right. Kim decorated it like crazy last year. We've got the same tree in behind that way. Anyway, so yeah, this link. Let me just grab the link for you, and we will get to the point, Gav, as you should. So there is the Christmas fruitcake cheese link. That is the cheese that you can make before Christmas to astound your friends and family, and make it a little bit closer. It's based on queso fresco. It is salted. It is very moist though. As with all the extra bits that I put in there. So it's probably best made about a week before Christmas. So absolutely perfect. So, alrighty. Next question is from, who's this? Oops, wrong one. Do you ever, who's this? Cordo Doolan. Righto. Thank you. Do you ever age or cure meats? Can you age cheese and like salami in the same dry box? Yes, a lot of people do. Sometimes there is some cross-contamination with Penicillium candidum, which seems to grow on the outside of the meats, or Geotrichum candidum, and the cheeses can get infected. So just make sure that any cheeses are vac packed or waxed or whatever. The temperature is roughly the same. About 13 degrees Celsius is what you need. So that'll work. Patty says, have I ever tried Calu di Cabretu or ever plan to? No, I have never heard of that cheese. I can write it down and have a look. Hopefully you're not joshing me. Right, there we go. And my pen ran out. Right. Thank you, Patty. I'll check that out. Cool Cat says, I said I knew I'd seen Gavin before, Santa's Grotto 1982, and thanked him for my present last year, which was a Matchbox streak racing set. Oh, yes, Cool Cat, it was you. There you go. You're so funny. Jennifer has a solution here for Valerie. Says, I had the same issue. I saved my milk for a few days, running to get enough to fill an 8-gallon pot. I save Thursday through to Sundays, and then skim the cream for butter and make cheese on Monday. Well done, Jennifer. Thank you for helping out there. Katarina says, good question. I've been wanting to try making salami and wonder if I could store them in my cheese fridge. Yes, you can. as I mentioned before. And look, I've done it myself. I had some salamis hanging up in there once. Oh, that's the alarm for the gallery. Thank you, gallery alarm. Let's have a look what we've got today. We've got some fantastic pictures. Let's get up all of the little things. Right. Okay, gallery time. Let's move that out of the way, Gav. Here we are. So, the gallery is brought to you by you, the Curd Nerds, and you're the ones that send in the photos. And I'll show you how to do that at the end of the gallery. So, this is from Constanzo, and I'll just zoom in a little bit. It says, Gavin, this is my paprika kafili made on November 28th. I followed your recipe step by step. Day 3 in the ripening box at 10 to 13 degrees at 85 to 90 relative humidity. Turned it on the 3rd. It was okay on the 6th of December. The mold was everywhere. What can I do? Can I clean it and reapply the oil and paprika? Thanks. Yes, indeed. So it has gone a little bit feral, hasn't it? So I've already replied back to Constanzo and said that just scrape it off and then reapply the coating. You can certainly do that. It hasn't infected the cheese. That's what the coating's for. So scrape that off and then reapply, and you've probably only got, what's the 28th? It should be ready by about the 15th. So only got like 4 days to go anyway. But yeah, hopefully you've done that in the meantime. I got it during the week, so yeah, that'll be fine. The cheese has not gone to the chicken house, so yeah, that'll be good. All right, so this is from Jennifer. Hello, Jennifer. Let's find the little thing. There it is. Jennifer says, "Hi, Gavin. Here are a couple of cheeses for the gallery. The first one is my Jarlsberg style cheese. 3 photos. This baby got attacked 3 times. First with blue mold, then by a mouse, and then by a scented candle. The cheese was air drying next to a candle and the scent permeated the cheese. I persisted, rubbing the rind, trimming out the mouse parts, and then cutting off the whole rind to get rid of the perfumey smell. And it turned out to be one of my best, most flavoursome Jarlsbergs to date. Cheese is tough, be like cheese." Indeed. So there's the mould. There's the mouse. Oh, he had a good go at that, didn't he? Who said mice don't like cheese? I don't know where you're leaving these things to get a mouse attack there, Jennifer. I'd check your storage facilities, I think. Right, there we go. And then it's all the perfumey bit all cut off. That's all the shavings. Obviously the cheese is pretty good. Not a lot of eye development though. So I think the humidity might not have been high where you were storing it. So, but let me know. But that looks cool. So the next one is Caraway Swiss. Now this does look nice indeed. So this is Caraway Swiss I made. The holes are smaller than I hoped, but the cheese itself is fabulous. The caraway is mild. The cheese gently Swissy. A total winner. Happy cheese making, Jennifer. Yeah, that looks really nice, Jennifer. Well done. Is there another photo? There is. So in little bits for snacks, I think. But yeah, that looks great. That's a great looking cheese. I wouldn't worry about the eye development. If it tastes like it should taste, then absolutely perfect. Well done. Thanks, Jennifer, for sending those in. And yeah, I hope you sort your mouse problems out. Anyway, we'll move right along there. The next photo is from Patricia, and she has a note here as well. Patricia says, "Hi Gavin, here are 2 photos of a 1.256 kilogram stout infused cheddar from 10 litres of pasteurised non-homogenised cow's milk. I'm so chuffed." Great word, love it. My wife introduced that to me. She's English, by the way. Look how well it knitted. Indeed. Let's do a zoom in. That is really good. Yeah, nice. It is difficult to get the cheese to knit, so here's how she did it. I was careful to keep everything as close to 38 degrees Celsius as possible, including doing the first 2 pressings with the basket sitting in the warm stout. And I think this really contributed to the successful knitting of the curds. Fantastic. So let's have, is there another? There we go. So that's the super duper close up. And yeah, you can see little lines of stout, but it's the flavour of the stout that you're kind of trying to get. So that is perfect. And they have knitted together very well. It says, sorry I can't join the chat, which you already have. I'm playing a concert. Oh, okay. And I look forward to the report from your visit to Long Paddock Cheese in Castlemaine. Maybe more pictures for the gallery, right? Sadly not so, Patricia. Let me just interrupt the thing there. So, I did plan a trip, as I mentioned on Wednesday, to Long Paddock Cheese up at the mill in Castlemaine. Unfortunately, Kim's been suffering from some insomnia lately. And what it basically is, she's at the stage in her recovery from breast cancer that she thinks that every ache and pain is cancer coming back. Now, we go to the oncologist every 6 months and to her surgeon every 6 months and get her checked over and all the scans and all that sort of stuff. So far, so good. There has been nothing that is indicating that that is happening. But as with many survivors of a trauma like that, and with Ruth was here to back me up, seeing she's a trauma counsellor specialist, that she gets these thoughts that the cancer's come back, but as far as we know, it hasn't. Yeah, that's the cause of her insomnia, unfortunately. So she didn't get up until, I don't know, 10 o'clock or something, and I think the mill closed at 2 or something, so there was no way we were going to get there. But we are going to get there. We went for a lovely drive anyway to get her out of the house, get me out of the house. And yeah, we had an enjoyable day yesterday regardless. So yeah, so that's kind of what's going on. But anyway, back to the gallery. Sorry, I didn't mean to go all personal and deep on you, but yeah, it's just the way it is. Anyway, so moving right along. Thank you, Patricia, for sending that in. This is from Ruth, and I thought she might be here today, but she sent it in. This is called her Nutty Holiday Cheese. And she hasn't provided a recipe, so that's it waxed. And there it is, cut. So, if I remember rightly, it had pistachios and something in there. Hang on, she's got a little thing. Where is it? There it is. Right, let's make that bigger. Tells you what's in there. So, it's a marble kefili with orange peel, pistachios, and a swig of boiled, cooled Grand Marnier. Culture with love. So, let's go back to the photo again. So, can we make that bigger? There it is. So I can see the orange bits there, lovely, and it's marbled, of course, and it's a kefili, and kefilis are normally crumbly anyway, in very short maturation time. So it looks really good, Ruth. You didn't say how it tasted. Hang on, what was this? It says crumbly serving suggestion with a spoon. There's love in every crumb, apparently. Thank you, Ruth, for sending that in. It's a remarkable creation. I like it a lot, and I bet it tasted good too. So, are there any more photos? Yes, there's some from Shauna. Thank you, Ruth, for sending those in. To Shauna's photos, we have a little note. Here we go. Hi, Gavin and Kim. Just a couple more photos for the gallery. A little bit small. Let's make them a bit bigger. Here we go. I opened some wheels to make cheese parcels as gifts. Fantastic idea, Shauna. You got so much cheese in your cheese fridge anyway, so why not give some away? Perfect. The first picture is a 2-month-old Guido's. I normally like to age a bit longer, But this should be fine. It looks pretty good, mate. That is lovely. Nice, firm paste, and I love the mouse, by the way. The next photo is... make that a bit bigger. This is a 3-month-old Derby without the green stuff. So it's not a Sage Derby, it's just a normal Derby. That looks really nice as well. And is this a different cheese? Yep. And this is a Lancashire, which is a little bit more creamier, which they are. Said hopefully ready next week. And the last one is, scroll in. This is a Drunken Cow. Fourth is a Drunken Cow. This is made with a chamois mould. I think that's how you say it. I did try to natural rind, but it got too mouldy. Note to self, don't wash the Drunken Cow cheese. It removes all of the wine colouring on the outside. So then from all those cheeses, Shauna made a little parcels. Here we go, some gifts, Christmas gifts. So she's vac packed each individual piece and labelled it when it's ready, and yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. So I included some Edam and Budakäse. I think the gifts should go down well. Shauna, they are absolutely perfect. Well done, mate. I think giving cheese away as gifts to people who don't make cheese is a fantastic idea, and it just goes to show them that you have this amazing superpower. So many people don't know that they can make their own cheese at home, with a little bit of experience, of course. But hats off to you, Shauna. Absolutely fantastic looking cheeses. I'm so proud of you. Well done. No, there's no more. That's it. That's the end of the gallery. Thank you, everybody. Can I bring up how to... Oops. Let's get rid of that and go back to the channel. Right, so how do you send photos to Gav? So you go to the About tab on the channel, and you scroll down to here where it says Details, for business inquiries, and you click to view the email address. You'll have to be signed on to YouTube, obviously, to see that email address. So if you have any photos of recent successes or failures, please send them through. And send them through to that email address. That's where you can correspond with me, if you like. Now, I don't always get to everybody's questions, especially if they don't have photos attached. If you've got photos, attach them, ask your question. I usually answer them on Ask the Cheeseman. That's the forum we do it. The amount of questions I get asked a week, probably about 10, maybe 15 via email, I just can't get to them. We got businesses to run, fortunately for us. So yeah, if you're gonna ask a question, attach a photo and it'll appear in the gallery. So there you go. Thank you to everybody who sent in photos. I really appreciate it, as always. So fantastic. Right, so how much time we got? What time is it? 43 minutes past the hour. Let's have a look. There's some questions maybe that I can't get because it's too far. Let's have a look. Okay, so the first one I can grab is from S. Taylor. Thanks, S. Hi, Gav. I love your videos and recipes. Started cheese making about 10 years ago, and I've just come back to it recently in a big way, and find your website and videos very inspiring. Thank you so much, S. Appreciate it. Jennifer says, old farmhouse equals mouse infestations. It's as fun as it sounds. Indeed. So you got them, I didn't mean to harp on, but do you have them in a cellar or something like that, or in a fridge, a converted fridge? I know you make really big cheeses, Jennifer. I'm just wondering how those little beasties get in there and nibble it. Boris says, sorry to hear that you all are having to go through this. I wish you both the best through this struggle. Yeah, it's a pain. But, you know, life goes on. And we've got a super chat. Who's that from? Goodness me. That's from Patricia. Thank you, Patricia. Let's get that up. Time for a flashing sign. Today's concert was a tuba Christmas. Dozens of tuba players honking out Christmas songs. The crowd loved it. Fun to do too. It sounds amazing. I wish I could go to one of your concerts. Honestly, Patricia, it'd be fantastic. I'd love it. If you're ever in Australia for a concert, then I'll come and have a look. That'd be great. Thanks, mate. Appreciate the $5 Canadian, by the way. Okay. Tony says, Tony's here from Maryland. Great to see you, Gavin. Thank you, Tony. Sherry says, prayers for Kim. Thank you, Sherry. And Cool Cat, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Jim has got some advice there. It says, for a good channel on meats, visit Two Guys and a Cooler on YouTube. Yeah, Eric does some fantastic work over there with charcuterie, and he does some amazing salamis and any sort of fermented meats in in bags. And yeah, they are absolutely amazing. Herb has a new appreciation for Ruth's cheeses. Holy moly. Yeah, that cheese is great. Absolutely. Finca says, as a survivor of trauma, thank you, Ruth. You're an angel to many. And Kim, hang in there, you beautiful person. Thank you, Finca. I appreciate it. Kim struggles some days, but that's what I'm here for. Cheer her up. I'm a hubby. And we have a great life. We really do. All things aside, of course. Persnickety. Hi, mate. How are you? Sister-in-law loved the Red Windsor from a farmhouse cheddar. She wants another, and I'm thinking of a Jack as the basis. Yeah, that'll work. Well done. And lovely to see you here again. Maybe you've been lurking, I'm not sure. Pirate of the North says, how do you stop blue mould from colonising the surface of a B. Linen's washed rind cheese? Right, so it will, because it loves a little bit of moisture, but a washed rind cheese should be fairly damp most of the time when you're washing it. Blue likes it a little bit drier, if that makes sense. So if the rind is drier, then you'll get some blue mould. It will continue to come back, so that's why you got to wash it. But yeah, I would check the area that you're maturing the cheese for any mold infections. Clean out your cheese fridge or the ripening box that you're using, and try and get rid of it if you can. But just keep washing it. Wash it twice a week, and you shouldn't have too many problems. Pirate of the North. Jawad says, sorry if I pronounced that wrong, says, what is the mildest blue cheese you can think of? I tried a random one the other day and could not handle it, but I'd like to acquire the taste. Okay, so there are a couple I would recommend that you could probably get your hands on. So there is a Castello Blue, which is a Danish blue, which is very mild. It's not very strong, so that's really good. Gorgonzola Dolce, which is the milder version of Gorgonzola. There's two. There's Gorgonzola Picante and Gorgonzola Dolce. So Dolce is the mildest and creamy one. That is very nice and not very strong. Roquefort is not very strong as well. That's a mild sheep's milk blue cheese, and that's very nice. If you're making your own cheese, a nice mild one is the Castle Blue. That comes to mind, and that's absolutely delicious. Yeah, that'll do. That's some good suggestions there. Hopefully that'll help out. Jennifer says, I chill the downstairs room in winter, keep the window open, and we use that for the cave. Aha, there you go. The cheese is set out on the tables covered with net or in plastic aging boxes. There you go. Thank you, Jennifer. I was just curious, mate. I wasn't being a cheese snob or anything like that. I just wanted to know. You did it. So, yeah, very cool. Thanks, mate. Did that for a few months with no problems. Also keep cheeses in 2 cheese fridges. Okay, cool. But then the mice, because they were hungry, of course. Very cool, thank you. BJ says, hi from southern New Jersey, USA. I'm working through your videos and really enjoying them. Thank you, BJ. I appreciate it. And enjoy. There is so much content there. It's just, I look at it some days and think, did I make all that? Persnickety says, yes, ripening boxes, and do need to set my alerts for Gavin's streams, as I've missed most of it. Oh, well, they're all there in archive, mate, but it's more fun when you are watching it live. Well, I think it's fun anyway. I enjoy the interaction part of it. Okay, so we've got 10 minutes to go. Anthony says, I've created my own ripening boxes using cooling racks and a Dremel with cut-off wheels. It was the best way to get the perfect dimensions. All right, so you cut the cooling racks with the Dremel. Right, okay. And they're great. Yeah, perfect, mate. Like I said, I think I said this a couple of weeks ago, that the red ripening boxes that I use, we used to get them from Decor Australia, but I contacted the manufacturer and they said they have ceased that line. And it was a perfect size box, ripening box. It had its own little plastic mat that was elevated off the bottom. It was originally designed as a microwave steamer, I think, something like that. But for some reason, even though I was selling like 10 a week, obviously my sales were not high enough, so they discontinued the line. So that is very unfortunate. I'm trying to find a replacement now. Decor Australia, the plastic manufacturer, don't have anything that's satisfactory as far as I'm concerned. So I'm looking elsewhere, but I'd love to get a consistent brand that I can get wholesale and pass on to you guys. Pirates of the North says, thanks for the advice. Also, I'd love to see you make a video on a spirit washed rind cheese, hard liquor. Yeah, well, I've done some. Have a look at the, I know mead's not a hard spirit, but there is a mead washed Alpine style cheese, which turned out very nice and had a lovely flavour. I think a spirit or a hard liquor washed cheese would be similar. Remembering that the higher alcohol content may also inhibit some of the lactic bacteria activity. So I have seen whiskey infused cheddars and stuff like that, but I don't know how much flavour are in them. I have bought one. I bought a whiskey one, and it really didn't taste too much like whiskey. It was more like cheddar, of course. So that's cool. Tony says, is blue cheese one of the harder cheeses to make? I'd really love it for salads and dressing. Oh, I really love it for salads and dressing. Is it hard to make? Well, it's no harder than any other mould-ripened cheese, Tony. I don't think it's too much of an issue. Penicillium roquefort loves to grow on cheese anyway. Or wild Penicillium roquefort. Probably not the strains that are that cheesemakers use, but certainly I've never had any trouble getting a blue cheese to grow. And yeah, they are not difficult if you follow the steps and just make sure that the cheese is not too moist, because other moulds will grow on it instead, and that you don't age it too long, because the blue kind of dies off and turns into this orangey, well, it doesn't turn into Brevibacterial linens, it actually dies off and leaves a deposit on the outside of the cheese. But I tend to then just scrape all that off, and yeah, you have yourself a nice blue cheese, so you don't have too many problems at all. Eagle says, Cambozola is a mild creamy cheese. Yes, it's a great suggestion. If you can buy that commercially, then you can get some of that. Herb says, this cheesy community is what keeps me coming back. Thank you, Herb. Yeah, it is. It's great. I love all the comments, all the interaction. It's just so much fun. It makes my Sunday morning, that's for sure. And Wednesday evenings as well. Finker says, I saw plastic vegetable storage containers similar with a vent and an inside tray. Yeah, look, whatever you can get at this stage, now that I can't get a nice supply, I was exporting lots of those containers because they couldn't get, well, they were made in Australia. So there was a lot of international, I'll start again. There were a lot of international purchasers or curd nerds that were buying those ripening boxes. So unfortunately I can't do anything about that. Anyway, Persnickety says, having made beer jacks from Spaten, double bock, and Red Windsor using port, but haven't thought much about hard liquors. Have concerns about curdling. Yeah, it could do too. But remember that we only soak the curds in the alcohol. I don't think that'll be too much problems. But then, if you heat the liquor up, you're going to lose the alcohol anyway. It's just going to be the flavour left behind. So depends on what your purpose of making the cheese is. And that's directed at Pirate. So if you want to make a boozy cheese, then it probably wouldn't knit together very well. But if you just want the flavour from the hard liquor, then it would probably be okay. Katarina says, I don't make cheese unless I first check out Gavin's videos on it, like a Bible. Lol. Nice. So I felt it was only right to commit to a membership. There's no one who has more info on cheese making on YouTube. Thank you, Katarina. I really appreciate it. And she says, so get your memberships. So if you want to become a member, there's no obligation whatsoever. You do get perks, of course, whether that be on YouTube memberships or Facebook, Patreon. You get perks, which is cool. Early access to videos and all that sort of stuff as well. But it does support the channel and allows me to take time from my business activities to make videos and so on and so forth, and buy the milk and get sponsors and sit down and just do that sort of stuff. So very cool. What time is it? We've got 2 minutes to go. Finker says, it makes my Saturday night almost 6 p.m. here in Puerto Rico. Thanks, Finker. Herb says, maybe rub a liqueur cheese with olive oil once a week and then liqueur the next. That's a good suggestion, Herb. That might work. Or Jim says you can soak your cheese before serving. So you might get a bit of a hit there. So that's pretty cool. Pirate says, so far I'm diluting a gin down to about 8% and using it as a simple brine for the bee linens, washing my rind with weekly washes, but I'm still a novice, so I wanted to see a more experienced hand try it. That is a good suggestion. So I think you're doing it right anyway. You should the paste should start to gin's colourless, so yeah, you should be good. 8%, it shouldn't affect the bee linens, because that's about, that's like a really, really strong beer as far as alcohol content goes. So you should be right, because I've done that and I've had no problems. So I think it'll be fine. In fact, the mead that I made was 13%, and that worked fine, and made a nice rind and made a nice paste at the end of all the washing, so that'll work. So I have done that. So by using gin, it's no big deal. It'd be the same as using the mead that I used. So Pirate, you're doing all right. Well done. Persnickety says, Katarina, Gavin's books physically are wonderful as well. Binder format so they lay flat. Thanks, mate. There's lots of people. Such nice comments. Anyway, that that'll do, I think, for today. What time is it? Yeah, it's time to go and have my breakfast. So thanks everybody for watching. If you want to learn to make cheese, and you could do no worse than popping over, if I get the comment out of the way, thank you, persnickety. If you want to make your own cheese, you can do no worse than going to courses.littlegreenworkshops.com.au and go to the Curdnerd Academy. And thank you to the 3 people that signed up to the Academy this week. You know who you are. Absolutely fantastic that you're taking the time to learn the basics before you start making cheese. And that's absolutely spot on. Unfortunately, I can't do face-to-face workshops unless it's a real special request like somebody proposing, which was pretty cool. But yeah, face-to-face workshops, we don't do those anymore. But yeah, you can learn how to make 9 cheeses over at the Curdnerd Academy. And if you want to get any supplies, we do ship to a lot of countries. You can go to littlegreenworkshops.com.au and go to the cheese section and pick all those up. If you want any cool merch like this wonderful t-shirt, blessed are the cheesemakers, you can get that at merch.cheeseman.tv. Pick that up, or pick up a mug for Christmas. There are lots of mugs. Anyway, thank you so much, everybody. We will see you again Wednesday evening, my time. And then, of course, next Sunday as well. Now, thinking a few weeks ahead, seeing Christmas Day is on a Sunday for us. I obviously won't have a show that day. I think I might do one on Boxing Day, so that'll be the Monday for us. But it'll be Sunday, probably Christmas for the Americas anyway. So, yeah, we'll get some sort of Christmassy show going on. We'll see how we go. Anyway, thanks for watching, Curd Nerds. Appreciate you coming along and asking questions and saying g'day and all that sort of stuff. If you haven't already done so, hit the little like button if you like the stream. And, yeah, it's all been fabulous. Well, thanks for watching, Curd Nerds, and I'll see you next time.